So it is about the time when Swami Vivekananda returned to India after his famous Chicago conference speech. Now he was being discussed in every country of the world. Everyone started to recognize him. Swamiji came back to India and was traveling according to his nature. At that time, they were in Himalayas and its surrounding foothills. One day while roaming around, he came to the bank of a river. There he saw that there was a boat, but it had left the shore and sat there on the shore, waiting for the boat to return. A monk was passing by. When the monk saw Swamiji sitting alone there, he went up to Swamiji and he asked him,
Why are you sitting here?
I am here waiting for the boat.
The monk asked him again.
What is your name?
I am Vivekanand.
The monk made fun of Swamiji and he said,
Alright, so you are the famous Vivekanand who feels that by going abroad and giving speeches, you will become a very great soul.
Swamiji did not give any reply to the monk. Then the monk, with great pride, demonstrated his power by walking on the water of the river. After walking for some distance, he came back and he said,
Can you cross this river by walking on water like me, huh?
Swamiji said to the monk with great respect and humility,
There is no doubt that you have amazing power. But dear monk, can you tell me how long it took you to get this extraordinary power?
With great pride, the monk replied,
It was a very difficult task. I have attained this great power after 20 years of hard penance and meditation.
Monk said this in a very arrogant way. Seeing this, Swamiji said in a very calm voice,
You wasted 20 years of your life in learning such a skill, which a boat can do in 5 minutes. You could have spent these 20 years in the service of the poor destitutes, or could use your knowledge and power in the progress of country and the citizens. But you wasted your 20 years for the sake of saving 5 minutes, which is not logical. Don't you think so?
The monk stood with his head down while Swamiji sat in the boat and went on the other side of the river.
Hello friends. They say that whatever has to happen will happen. Perhaps Melissa, who became IS, knew this. This is a story of a poor girl, Melissa. Melissa, a 22-year-old girl, was cooking in her mistress' house. Actually, Melissa used to cook in people's houses along with doing her studies. She wanted to become an IS officer. While cooking, she asked her mistress one day, Ma'am, for what exam are your sons preparing? The mistress gets angry hearing this and she scolded Melissa saying, Do your work. Why do you need to know about my son? What is he doing? Do your work and go from here. Instead of wasting your time in studying, do the cleaning of my house. You will get some more money and your economic condition will be better. That day, Melissa felt very bad. Actually, her mistress said everything sarcastically. Melissa came home and started studying as usual. She went to her mistress's house to cook in the morning. That day, mistress was in a good mood. Mistress told Melissa, Melissa, did you have some work with Andrew? Andrew was mistress's son and was preparing for UPSC exams. Andrew was at home that day. Ma'am, I just wanted to ask, for which exam is Andrew sir preparing for? Mistress immediately told Melissa, do one thing. You stay here today and talk to Andrew regarding your studies and do some more work for me. Melissa was very happy. Now the mistress told, Melissa, you need to cook food for 15 people tonight. Will you cook? Melissa agreed to it immediately because she needed some books for the UPSC exam. And Melissa knew that Andrew was also preparing for UPSC exams. She would get the books she needed when asked for them. It was late that night and Melissa cooked food for 15 people. She asked her mistress, Ma'am, please call brother Andrew. I have to ask him something. But as mistress's work was complete by then, she made her complete the work and lied to her that Andrew has gone to his friend's house and maybe he will not come back tonight. This made Melissa sad because she had completed all the books she had and she wanted new books. But she had not much money left to buy new books. Right then, Andrew comes out of his room calling his mother. Now the lie of mistress was apparent. But in order to manipulate her words, she said, "Son, you were with your friends, isn't it? Melissa wanted to ask you about studies." Now Andrew asked Melissa.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Then Melissa told Andrew that she was preparing for the UPSC exam. But she didn't have money to join coaching classes or buy books. She asked him how can she prepare for the exams. Considering Melissa's condition, Andrew told Melissa,
Hey, how did you even think of appearing the UPSC exam? Do you know that this exam is a very big one and you will have to compete with students from well-known colleges? You will not be able to do that. Why are you wasting your hard-earned money on books and coaching?
Saying that, Andrew went back to his room and mistresses asked Melissa to go home by telling her that, "Look, Melissa, there is already many people in our house today. There is no place left to sleep. You go back to your home." It was 11:30 at night, and a poor alone girl was going back home. She was tired and started crying because Andrew had laughed at her condition. Melissa was so tired that her body was unable to cope. But the same night, Melissa promised to herself that she will take revenge of Andrew's insult. She would show that a poor girl who studied from a normal college can also become an IAS. Melissa prepared her timetable that night. She decided that after cooking dinner in her mistress's house, she would study at home for at least 7 hours in the night and 3 hours during the day. Melissa made a timetable for 10 hours. But the biggest problem was of books. From where would she get the money for the books? Then she decided that she would ask her mistress' son for books. Maybe he would give her the books. After thinking this, she went to sleep. In the morning, after completing her 3 hours of study, Melissa came to her mistress's house. Andrew was sleeping. So Melissa told her mistress that, "Ma'am, if you want, I will do some more work for you. I will wash your car too. But can you give me 500 extra every month for that? I will buy books to study." By chance, the mistress was happy that day. She told her, "Look, I cannot give you the money, but I can let you have Andrew's books. You can return them after studying as soon as possible." Melissa became very happy. Andrew started giving his books to Melissa when her mother asked him for that. Now, Melissa doubled the speed of her study. The books, which were eating dust in Andrew's cupboard, were now being properly used. 4 months were due for UPSC's pre-exam, and Melissa had completed the entire syllabus for 4 months in advance because she was aware of the value of the books. Andrew was busy in some other world rather than preparing for UPSC. But to show off in front of his mother, he used to ask the books back in 2 or 3 days from Melissa. Now Melissa started revising for her exam, and one day, while cooking, she asked her mistress that, "Ma'am, how is brother Andrew's preparation going on?" Right then, Andrew came there and pointed out Melissa's status. But today, Melissa was not the one whom he had insulted 6 months before while giving the books. Andrew started asking about the number of papers in UPSC from Melissa, on which Melissa explains the entire syllabus in 2 minutes and asked Andrew a question on a recent event on the international affair. But poor Andrew was not aware of the current affairs needed for UPSC exam. He manipulated the words and pointed out at Melissa's status. He went away from there. Now, time passed and the pre-UPSC exams arrived. Melissa passed the exam, but Andrew could not pass. He told that he did not appear in the exam that year. Melissa had passed, but she did not tell her mistress and Andrew about that. Now it was the time for the mains. Melissa doubled her hard work and succeeded in mains. She started waiting for the interview call. But the day she was supposed to go for the interview, her mistress forced her to come for work. She told her that if she doesn't come that day, then her services will no longer be needed. But Melissa decided that she would not go there that day because she had to go for the UPSC building for the interview. There the interview ended, and here the mistresses fired Melissa. Melissa waited for the final result. The UPSC results were out and Melissa got rank 369. Yes, Melissa had scored rank 369. Melissa was very happy. A poor village girl had excelled in UPSC exam and had become an IS officer. When Andrew came to know about the UPSC results, he went to Alyssa's house and asked her about her strategy. Her mistress too had come to Melissa's house for the first time with Andrew. Melissa thought that there was a day when her mistress and Andrew used to point out her status. But Melissa was not like Andrew, and so she shared her strategies with Andrew. After that, Melissa left for IAS training.